We're going to start today by introducing our guest, who is well known in the Rio Grande Valley for her cosplay, for her art, many different ventures involving the community. Today we're going to be talking to Over the Moon Salt, Kaycee. Liendo?
Yes, Liendo.
Yay!
Where's a round of applause?
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it. You know what? Give me a letter.
Oh,
geez. C. We're going to go with C.
Oh.
Kaycee Liendo.
That's very fitting. That's very fitting. That's very anticlimactic. That's okay.
So, Kaycee, welcome to the show. Say hi to the fans.
Thank you so much for having me. Long-time listener, first-time guest. I'm so
Yay.
excited.
Sweet.
day one.
Yeah, day one. Exactly.
No, thank you. Now, you know what? Before we get started, or not before we get started, this is how we're going to get started, by asking the simple question of how did you get involved in all of this craziness?
It's a little unconventional. So I know most of the time when you ask somebody, oh, how did you become a wrestling fan? They usually say they watched as a kid, or, their family watched, or they used to go to shows. Mine's a little unconventional. I started watching the show Glow on Netflix in 2019, and I got really obsessed with that show, and I was like, it's based off of a real thing, so let me look up the documentary, watch the documentary about Glow, super excited about it. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm telling my husband Raul about this, and he was a wrestling fan growing up and kind of dropped off on that, and he was like, well, hey, if you're interested in wrestling, he's like, there's a show called Dark Side of the Ring if you want to start watching that with me. So we started watching that. It's a little a dark way to come into the wrestling.
It's heavy.
It's a heavy way.
And you know what? Shout out to Raul, because Raul's here with us. And I'm sorry, we didn't bring an extra mic or headphones, but Raul's being a trooper and supporting his wife.
Yeah, no. And so we started watching that. And like I said, it's a pretty heavy way to get into wrestling, but I'm really appreciative of seeing that side of wrestling, because it showed the humanness of the wrestlers and the sacrifices that they make for the pure entertainment of the fans. And it's all, they risk their lives physically and their bodies and their families. And so it really gave me a different side to wrestling. And so I started with documentaries before I even started actually watching live wrestling. And then the pandemic hit, and there was nothing else to do.
Nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, exactly. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm very much a routine person. So when the pandemic hit, obviously it shook my whole world with my work, my personal life. So wrestling became my consistency. It became something that was a constant, and it was a positive. So I knew I was going to watch Monday Night Raw, Tuesday NXT, Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday Dark Side of the Ring, and then Friday SmackDown. I knew I was going to have that routine, and it kept me positive, and it really helped me mentally through all of that. And that's how I'm here now. 4 years later, I'm still a little baby wrestling fan, but I love everything about it.
And that's wild, because like you mentioned, most people that we've had on the show, their story is, I grew up watching, and in your case, your husband grew up watching,
yeah.
And he was able to pass that over to you, which is very similar to our story, because Mel did not grow up a wrestling fan.
Oh.
That's right. I can relate to what you're saying about the human struggle.
Yeah.
Seeing that side of things. That's what appealed to me too. Just seeing the backstage stuff first.
Exactly. It gives you a different perspective and a different appreciation
Yes.
for the people that are in that ring and what they do. And the people outside of the ring, the announcers and the refs and the gear makers. That's where I kind of have cosplay coming into that. Seeing the pageantry of wrestling. And it's such a beautiful art form because it's physical, but there's also the theatrics of it. And I think that's what really made me fall in love with wrestling. There's so many cool things and aspects about wrestling that kind of make it all this beautiful masterpiece. And there's so many pieces to pick from.
I think people take for granted just how much it takes to put on an event, to put on a show, especially the caliber that you see on television. You have to consider the cameraman. You have to consider the timekeeper, the bell ringer. You have to consider the sound, the lights, the performers, the referees, the ring crew, all of that stuff. And there's so much that I'm missing. But there's a lot of things to consider when putting on a show. And then you talk about a lower scale, and I don't mean lower as in less than, just a smaller scale here locally. Those stresses still exist, but at a smaller level. And so being able to travel with AEW, I've been able to see just how much work it takes to put on something together. And it also makes me appreciate what the local guys get to do too. I mean, I was in their shoes for a long time, And coming back, I'm able to see the hard work and sacrifice that they're putting into in order to commit to what they're doing. Now, you mentioned cosplay. Talk to us about that.
Cosplay is an art form as well. It's something I kind of dabbled on pre-pandemic, just kind of doing like Disney princesses. You know, there's a local con here in the Valley that I would go to. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun to dress up. You know, being a grown-up, you don't really get very many opportunities to dress up outside of Halloween. So it was something I wanted to try. And then during the pandemic, I was watching wrestling, and TikTok had kind of become popular as well. So I started drawing wrestlers, and those videos started receiving traction. I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, hey, can you draw this wrestler? Can you draw this wrestler? I'm like, okay. And then I started moving into, well, let me make a pair of Macho Man trunks for fun. And so I pieced together something, and I ironed it on, and it got a bunch of views. And they're like, hey, have you tried dressing as this wrestler? And so it just kind of like snowballed from there, and I started cosplaying wrestlers and trying out gear, just sewing. It allowed me to do something while watching wrestling, and it was just a lot of fun. People were really receptive to it, and I actually found people within the wrestling community that also cosplayed as wrestlers. So it's been a fun little community niche within the community. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Was Macho Man your first wrestling cosplay?
Yeah, it was my first, and he's my favorite. Like, you know, he's the first one that I was like, yes. I loved his promos. I loved his outfits that he would wear, his giant sequin robes. So he's definitely my favorite. So he was my first, for sure.
Now, were you doing cosplay prior to Macho Man?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Well, how did that start?
My brother and my sister-in-law were taking photos at the local Comic-Con, and they invited Raul and I to come, and they're like, hey, come to our booth. And I was just looking at everybody else, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, I want to do that. So I think the first thing I cosplayed was like Katara from Avatar. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that cartoon. I did that one, and that was pretty cool. And then I Princess Jasmine. So just some simple ones, but the wrestling cosplays have just been a lot more intricate.
Yeah.
And a lot more recognizable too. But it's just different cosplaying a princess who's a cartoon and then cosplaying a human being that's just so happens to be a wrestler, but people are a little more protective of those. So when I cosplay, I really use that as an opportunity to learn about the wrestler. So I research, I watch documentaries, I watch promos, I watch their entrances, and then I start piecing together the cosplays just because I want to do them justice. Yeah. I'm having fun, but I want to do them justice because there's always one fan that's going to be like, Eddie Guerrero's boots are actually black and gold. Like, I was like, I know.
Nitpicking.
Yeah, very nitpicky. I did have somebody point that out when I did one, and they were like, actually, his boots were gold with black flames. I was like, actually, the version I was doing is WCW Eddie Guerrero, and he had black and gold. So, like, I do my research because I want to do them justice. But I also know there's people out there that will be critics.
And you can't make everybody happy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's always going to be somebody, like you said, somebody that's going to be trashing it just for the sake of doing that. And it's something that, within wrestling, and I'm sure everywhere else, like, you have to have thick skin because, especially if you're putting yourself out there, chances are there's going to be at least one person that's not going to like what you're doing. And just don't let it be water to a duck's back.
Yes,
let it roll off. Now, with through cosplay, I know that you've gotten to meet some of these wrestlers. So, like, whenever there's a meet and greet, like, do you make it a point to, okay, that wrestler's going to be there, let me try and find an outfit that can match them?
I've tried. I start with that like enthusiasm and that what if I put this cosplay together and meet them, and then when it gets to me being in line, I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm so embarrassed. Like, why am I doing this? But fortunately, every wrestler I've met in a cosplay has been really nice. Like, I think the first one was Malachi Black. Mm-hmm. When I got to do House of Black, they were so nice about it and very, very complimentary of the cosplay, and they took pictures. And then last year, I got to meet Luchasaurus as Luchasaurus, and he was so nice about the whole thing. He was like, oh, your gear is better than mine. And just so sweet. And, people in line will get I'll get compliments on that end, but it's just a lot of fun. I think that they appreciate the acknowledgement of what they do and how they present themselves. So I think that it's always well received. I also try not to be a weirdo when I approach them. I'm trying to be like, hi, I'm a big fan or whatever. So I definitely try to approach it in a nice way so they don't think I'm some weirdo that stalks them, or like, but I just want to show them and acknowledge them and tell them like, I appreciate what you do and how you do it. And that's really where I get at with my wrestling cosplays. It's really just to pay homage and to pay appreciation to them and what they do in that ring.
And I'm sure it means a lot to them, especially because they go to different towns and they see different faces. So it's really hard for them to remember people. However, they will definitely remember someone that looks just like them, that's dressed just like them. And especially with the time that you take to make your outfits, the masks, the Luchasaurus mask. Like, how did you make that happen?
That one's actually pretty funny. I was like, okay, that one's hard to do because it's very specific in the way that it looks. And I actually found this really weird serpent mask on Amazon. Like, it was a full, but like it went all the way past the chest. And I was like, but the face had very similar patterns to Luchasaurus. And I was like, okay, if I buy this, cut it, and then make my own horns out of foam, I was able to kind of shape it, paint it, and it wound up looking like his actual mask. So I just lucked out on that one, but it was a really weird, smelly latex mask. And I was like, it smelled so bad. Oh, latex smells so bad. But yeah, that was a fun one to do. And then he changed. He went from green to black, and I had to repaint the whole thing, So that's a hard thing about cosplaying wrestlers is they have so many different looks.
Yeah.
Every wrestler changes up their looks, and I feel like more recently it's a lot faster in that they're adapting their looks and changing. For example, Rhea Ripley is one that I've cosplayed several times because she's gone through several different phases within the course of a couple years. So that's hard. That makes it hard to cosplay because it takes a long time to make them. So at some points I have to be like, okay, do I just continue going with this look or do I try to evolve it and change it to match their current gear or their current look? So that makes it a little trickier.
And would you say that Rhea Ripley is your favorite cosplay?
It's definitely one of my favorites. It's very nerve-wracking when you cosplay somebody who's very popular because that's where more people come in with their critiques.
Salen todos los haters. That's when they come out.
Well, Rhea Ripley has this thing. And exactly. So when you cosplay a more popular wrestler, obviously there's going to be more people making comments or putting in their opinion. But she's definitely my favorite wrestler currently. I love her so much. But my favorite one that I've worked on so far is got to be my Ricky the Dragon Steamboat because that one was so hard to make. It was so hard. I'm not a good seamstress. I don't know how to use a sewing machine. So I do everything by hand. It was lots of hand stitching. Yeah, it's a lot of hand stitching. But I feel like it makes me feel like, oh, this is how they used to make gear in the old days. So I feel
back in my days.
Exactly. Putting the sequins and be like, yeah, this is how they used to do it.
Old school.
Exactly. Old school wrestling. So I feel like I'm paying homage to the gear makers too by doing it by hand. Because there's a lot simpler. There's simpler ways to do it, I'm sure. But that's my process.
And there's some wrestlers who actually make their own gear too. I know that listening to AEW Unrestricted, Sky Blue's episode, she mentioned how she helps the gear folks with certain things, like putting rhinestones on the gear or sequins and all that stuff. And I don't know, I haven't seen her next to the gear folks lately, but I mean, that's interesting is that some people actually go through that and like you probably feel like this is how they used to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I know I have so much respect for Bianca Belair. She makes all of the gear that she wears.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, there she is, main eventing, and she's wearing something that she pieced together overnight. So yeah, there's a lot of wrestlers that still make their own gear or have at least some hand in what they wear. So again, when I cosplay that stuff, I want to be as respectful as possible to whoever I'm cosplaying because I know the hard work and the effort that goes into it, whether they're making the gear or they have somebody else making their gear. It's an art form.
It sounds like you have a lot of talent.
See?
Because you're talking about you're sewing, you were drawing, and I know you sing opera.
Oh.
Wow, let's talk about opera.
So you're asking, have I always been a weirdo? Yes, I have.
No, you remind me a lot of our one of our kids, Maddie. They love drawing. They love sculpting things. They'll make paper mache stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Face masks. Right now, I went into the room and I saw a cat. It looks like a full-size cat but it's made out of paper mache. It's not done. But she's very artistic.
It's that kid that has like random plastic in her room, cardboard boxes,
What are you
and we're
doing
like,
with it?
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you want to throw this out? No, I'm using that. Like, what?
Yeah, yes. No, I've definitely been a creative person since I was a kid. I used to have coloring books, and I would draw on the sides of the coloring books instead of actually coloring. Drawing was always my first passion. I love singing. That's another thing. I actually went to school to become a vocal major and I was going to be a music teacher, and I obviously changed routes on that. But yeah, I've always really loved having creative outlets because, going back to the fact that I need structure. So I also need some kind of creative outlet to allow myself to get those anxieties out. I get really high strung. Don't ask Raul. He knows that I'm very
Raul is keeping his mouth quiet. He's not going to say
exactly.
anything.
But art has always been something that just allows me to be free and to not think of anything other than what I'm doing at that moment. So yeah, creativity. And also it's my love language. When I appreciate somebody or care about somebody, I want to make them something. I'll make them a card, or I'll draw them a picture, or, I do something. So it's also my love language as well.
that's so sweet. That makes sense. Yeah.
Now, quick question. Has Ricky Steamboat seen your Ricky the Dragon Steamboat outfit?
I don't think he's on social media very much. I tagged him, but he was like, his last
said
post
anything.
was like 3 years ago. You
Oh,
know what I
man.
mean? So I don't think he's seen it. And that's happened a few times where, like the wrestlers don't see it or they, acknowledge it, but that's it. And that's not really why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I love it. But if I do get that acknowledgement, it's really cool. But, it's not why I do what I do.
I cosplayed as you. Please respond.
Yeah, exactly. Please.
Please.
Please share it. I love you so much.
I follow back.
So exactly. So no, don't want to teeter on that. Okay, weirdo. Like, don't do that. Yeah, just want to be respectful as possible. But yeah, it's really cool when they do acknowledge it or share it or say something nice. Was it Fred Odman, Shockmaster?
Yeah.
He commented on my post when I did it, and he was like, "This is awesome." I was like, "Oh my gosh, Shockmaster saw my
Shockmaster himself.
He saw it. Oh my gosh!" So yeah, that was pretty cool.
You became a wrestling fan in 2019.
Yes.
And you started with Dark Side of the Ring.
Yep.
And okay, from that and maybe any other wrestling documentary, like, do you have a favorite?
Ooh, I really loved Diamond Dallas Page's. I want to say it's Unstoppable was his, and it was basically his story of how he made DDPY, but it also kind of teetered into how he helped Scott Hall and how he helped Scott Hall and Jake the
Roberts.
Snake. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Oh, the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts
was a
is
good
a
one.
really great documentary. Beyond the Mat's a really great one as well. Like, so we watched so many documentaries within that time because I wanted to just absorb as much knowledge. I'm definitely the type that when I love something, I go 1,000% into it. And so I was just like, okay, let's watch this one. Let's watch this one. So there's a lot of them, but that's definitely one of my favorites.
Have you guys seen Wrestling with Shadows?
Ooh, I don't think we have.
That's the Bret Hart one. So that's when Bret Hart's leaving WWE.
Oh, is that where they
and
show the whole Montreal? Oh, yeah.
Montreal
I've seen
screw
pieces
job,
of it.
all
I
of
haven't
that.
seen
I
the.
think I've seen it. I'm sorry.
Raul has seen it.
Yeah.
Kaycee's
Of course he is.
Kaycee needs to catch up.
I'm going to watch it this
But I
week.
saw it before us. So.
Oh, okay,
It doesn't
okay.
count. Team Bret all the way.
Who screwed Brett? Brett screwed Brett? No. Exactly. Oh, man. I'll have to watch it. But I know the story, obviously.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's very good. It's,
Ooh, what about the one that was in theaters?
oh, the Iron Claw.
Iron
Oh, of
Claw,
course.
I want to
yes.
say White Claw.
Oh, yeah, the White Claw.
You were gonna say White Claw. It's not that type of party.
No.
spring
So
break,
yeah,
isn't it?
Iron Claw. What did you
Oh my
think of
God.
Iron
we
Claw?
went with my family for Christmas. That was our Christmas day. We were like, yay, Iron Claw. And then,
Yeah.
of course, we left like in
Photos of Iron
shambles.
Claw,
Yeah. It was so good. So well done. I mean, obviously, we had watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode. So I was already kind of familiar with the story, but seeing it play out in a more theatrical, like, movie, it was heartbreaking. I can't believe so many things happened to one family. And again, it goes back to how wrestlers sacrifice so much, and it's for the pure entertainment of the fans. It's for the fans, and they still continued doing what they were doing because they loved it, but it was obvious. It's so heartbreaking. It was tearing their family apart, but they kept doing because it was something that they loved, and they knew other people loved it too.
And they were very good at it also. And the times were changing throughout that time too. So like all that pressure, it is a sad movie. I mean, after the movie, we didn't know like how to talk about the movie without breaking down. So we were like, for 2 days, we wanted to talk about it, but we couldn't get to. We couldn't get ourselves to do it.
When we saw Iron Claw, we took the girls to watch Godzilla. So then when the movie's over, like we meet in the hallway and I'm like sobbing.
Oh
And the girls are like, what happened? I'm like, the whole family moved to Hawaii.
And the kids are like, okay.
Like, what are you talking about?
Sons are his brothers now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It was hard to explain.
Yeah, it was very emotional, very, and what's so crazy about becoming a wrestling fan, in my adult years is you don't realize how many people actually watched wrestling or were wrestling fans at some point. Like my dad, like he never watched wrestling, so that's why I was never really exposed to it at home. But now that I'm watching as an adult, like he's like, "Oh, did you watch SmackDown?" Like I think he's starting to follow it again now, and like. My mom's like, oh, well, your grandpa used to watch the Von Erichs all the time. Like, so all these people start coming out and sharing their stories. I've had coworkers tell me like, oh yeah, I used to watch like Stone Cold. He was my favorite. Like, so it's crazy how now that I'm in it, other people are starting to come out and be like, oh yeah, well, I used to watch wrestling, or yeah, I know this, or I loved Shawn Michaels. Like, it's just crazy, like how that kind of brings people together in a whole other sense. Like, you start seeing it more.
So after Cinemania, my uncle was talking to me about how beautiful it was and how he was so proud of me and proud of us. And he started telling me about a time when he was a kid and my grandpa took my uncle to some wrestling and El Santo was coming out and, everybody was crowding him. So he wanted to reach out and touch El Santo too. And he says that he didn't get to touch him, but he touched his cape. And that alone was enough for him to be like, oh my God, I'm not washing my hand. And see, and that's a story that I had never heard. Yeah. Now, whether true or not, like it just makes me think of the camaraderie between my grandpa, my grandpa and my uncle, sorry. But just like imagining like how it was for him and then me growing up as a wrestling fan, like putting myself in his shoes. And so it was just really nice to hear. And I think there was a time when wrestling was huge. And I think everybody and their mothers were fans at one point. Then it got to the point where, people get embarrassed to say I'm a wrestling fan. You don't wear the shirts anymore. And it's not until you're in an isolated place where you're like, oh, you like wrestling? Yeah, me too. Just don't say it out loud.
Yeah, well, and I think there's a resurgence in being a wrestling fan now. Like it's really cool. I feel like we're reaching a renaissance of wrestling.
It feels that way.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, yeah, there was that point where people were embarrassed or, oh, that's for little kids. And I feel like now there's such a variety of wrestling and people, it's becoming more mainstream. You're starting to see celebrities get more involved or talk about it or tweet about it. So it's becoming less and less of a like taboo or like something to be ashamed of. And I think it's the best time to be a wrestling fan. And that's why I'm so glad I got into it when I did. Who knows if I was a kid, and growing up as a wrestling fan, if I'd still be a fan at this point. But
true. That is true because I think a lot of people's minds changed on wrestling, like growing up and because of the way it evolved. I mean, there was a point where wrestling was a little taboo. Like it was, you didn't want your parents to see what you're watching on TV when it was wrestling, like depending on the age and all that, because things were a little edgy. So talking about wrestling, let's go into local stuff. What was your first local wrestling event that you can remember?
Ooh, my first wrestling show I got to go to live was an AEW show, which was amazing in 2021.
Was that in Corpus?
No, it was in Austin.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was amazing. And I was just in tears that whole show because that was the first time I was actually in a stadium with fans, because all that whole time I'd been watching wrestling with the Thunderdome with nobody there.
Oh, that's right.
Even my first WrestleMania experience live WrestleMania experience was watching the 2021. So I was like, wow. It was crazy, So being in a place with fans and hearing the chants and stuff, it was amazing. But my first wrestling show was I got invited to WrestleFest in Harlingen. And I can't remember. I was like put into the corner, so I didn't really get to see all of the wrestling shows that were going on. But that was probably my first one. And then I got invited back to WrestleFest, and I got to watch the Wrestling League's show. So that was really my first like local wrestling show that I got to see. It was pretty cool.
Was it the one where Lince Dorado was at a signing?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I took my daughter to that one.
Yeah.
And she bought something from you.
Yes.
Did she buy? Was it a Rare Ripley or?
I want to say it was.
Right?
It was got to be a Rhea Ripley thing. It was a watercolor. It was
See.
something. Yeah. I know. I sat and talked with her about Orange Cassidy for like ever. She was amazing. It was so fun. Like, and that's what I'm really introverted. So setting up a booth and talking to other people about wrestling has really allowed me to start conversations and kind of be a little more extroverted and just meet new people. And it was fun. Yes, I remember the conversation with your daughter. She was
That's
so nice.
awesome. So that was your first time booked for
Yes,
something like
yeah,
that.
I was
yeah.
gonna ask, you were booked as
a I guess special guest or whatever, I'm in a weird niche, like especially for those wrestling events, because there's not really a lot of wrestling cosplayers and there's not really a lot down here, so I'm in this weird little niche, and yeah, so I was very grateful for Danny to give me that opportunity to kind of showcase what I am and what I do, and I'm really grateful that people were receptive to that, because a lot of the times they walk up and they're like, "Are you a wrestler?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I promise. I can't get in the ring. I have scoliosis." I was like, "I can't do it." So yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoy doing those things, and I'm hoping to do more this year.
Well, that's awesome because, imagine you haven't been a wrestling fan for too long,
Yeah.
and now you're already getting bookings. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're not trying to book me for a match or anything. I was like, just book me to be there to be your hype person. I will be a hype person all day.
Just tell them you got to go over, brother. That doesn't work for me, brother. Simple.
So is it difficult? You said that you're introverted. I assume that you're a social person.
Once I get to know somebody, obviously my demeanor changes and I'm able to be a little more extroverted, but yeah, it is very difficult. And that's why, again, I'm grateful for wrestling because it's brought me new friends. It's really difficult to make friends as an adult. I don't know if y'all have tried recently.
It is hard.
It is really hard because, as an adult, you're set, you have your interests, you have what your schedule's like. So it's really hard to make new friends, and wrestling has opened that for me and allowed me to start conversations with people I probably would have never met or talked to had it not been for our interest in wrestling. And then we obviously start learning more about each other, and we're like, oh, okay, you like this, you like this. But yeah, it's just been a really constant positive for me, and allowed me to really kind of open up as a person.
That's nice. That's good.
Yeah.
As kids, I remember getting mad when people would say wrestling was fake, and I'd actually fight them.
Good.
Have you gotten in any fights since you became a wrestling fan with anybody that said it's fake?
I work for a nonprofit organization, and I was getting certified to be an instructor for first aid. And so it was a group of different people from different fields and different jobs. And the guy next to me, he was a teacher for something. And he saw my phone cover and he was like, "Oh, you're a wrestling fan?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It had Macho Man on there. And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, well, it's fake, right? And I just... the slow turn and looked at him.
Excuse you.
And I was like, and I went, actually, it is not fake. I was like, some of the matches are predetermined. I was like, but the and I started going my spiel. He did not talk to me the rest of I was like, okay, there you go.
Good. You don't need that type of negative energy in your life.
No. Well, and it was like the people that say that are clearly ignorant in that they don't know anything about wrestling, or they've maybe never watched it before. And so they're just regurgitating things that they've heard other people say, and I just dismiss it at this point because it's not worth it. It's not worth fighting. But I will if I need to. I will go to battle.
Doesn't that make you feel like they were like a sad kid?
Right? I'm like, would you not believe in anything? Like, come on. Like,
is it what? He doesn't watch movies? Like, is that the thing? Like, he doesn't.
It's still real to me. Damn it.
I only watch documentaries.
Oh, okay. Well, have fun with that.
No, and I think what you're doing is great because when I was in wrestling, actually like competing and stuff, like I tried to aim a lot of what I would do for kids because I remember being a kid and looking up to these wrestlers, wanting to be like them and all that. So I'm sure that there's kids who can't be wrestlers or are not interested in being actual wrestlers, but being able to dress as them and to look the way that you dress up and everything. Like, I'm sure that motivates them and gives them something that they can participate in and still be involved in the world of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, wrestlers are modern day superheroes. You know, they're getting in there, and you know, even though it might not be all real, and putting that in quotations, what you're doing in the ring is still physical. It's still something that not every person can do. Like, they're doing something that's you know, unique to them. And so yeah, exactly, you want to look up to them, you want to show your appreciation for them, so why not dress up? Why not dress up for them? You know, whether you're wearing a t-shirt or you're wearing a whole like full-on mask. Exactly, why not? It's all in good fun, and it's, again, at the end of the day, just showing appreciation for the people that are doing it, and that's why. If I can inspire somebody to dress up like their favorite wrestler, why not?
Has there ever been one that you've decided to do a cosplay on and then decide later, you know what, it's just too hard, I can't?
All of them, every single one of them. I think Roll's heard every single. This is like the Dragon Steamboat one was so hard with the wings, because he has those big wings. I have a 6-foot arm span, so the wings I made were 6 feet long. I was like, this is so stupid. I don't even know why I did this, but they came out great. But yeah, I mean, every single one of the cosplays I've done before, there's been a point where I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. One that I've kind of stopped working on was a Brody King one.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of wrestlers have a lot more tattoos nowadays, and recreating that is really difficult. So that one's on the back burner right now, but I swear I'm going to pick it back up and I'm going to finish it because I love Brody King. But that's definitely one that I was like, this is going to be easy. And then I started, I was like, oh no, it's not. I'll figure it out.
You should take it to your next AEW show.
Yes.
When is that going to be?
Oh, well, I've been talking with my little wrestling group of friends, and we were looking at Double or Nothing. So I was like, maybe we'll be going to that one.
What about Wembley?
Oh, actually, that's one of our bigger goals. Don't tell my friends. I haven't worked on my passport yet, but I will. But we have been talking about it, maybe for 2025.
That'd be great.
I know. I think it would be fun. I've never traveled overseas, so we'll see.
I want Mel to go, but she hasn't worked on her passport either.
Oh, see, we can do it together, girl. There we go. Okay, you know what? There we go. We can be each other's accountability buddies, and we'll be like, have you worked on it? Okay. And then we'll go have some tea and crumpets or something when we get there. Okay?
Some fish and chips.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you sold.
Now that you're involved in the wrestling community, how many wrestling friends have you made?
Yeah, you're talking about making plans with your wrestling friends. Like, how did that happen?
Well, and that's what's so crazy. So the page I currently have on my Instagram used to be my personal page. And so I had it by like my middle name, like the username. And I think I had about like 200 friends or whatever on there. And the minute I changed it to my Over the Moonsault title, that was like in 2021, it's gone from 200 to I think I'm over 4,000, you know, so it's built so crazy. And that's all organically. You know, a couple of my posts would go viral, and then I would get a new group of friends to kind of meet and talk to. Everybody I've interacted with has been so nice and so positive and supportive. And through that community, I've met some very close personal friends now because of, you know, just being on their podcast, and then we just start talking outside of the podcast, and now we're friends. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the people I've met throughout this community, and I have a lot of new wrestling friends, and I continue to find and meet new people. So y'all, so yeah, there you go. So it's been great. I love interacting with people and making new friends, and just continuing to make this community a little bit broader.
Well, I'll tell you what, like since post-pandemic, the wrestling community in the Valley has grown a lot. And I feel like there's a lot of unity amongst them because, I mean, there was always different groups of people like running shows and this and that, but I've never seen the unity that I see now, like people cross-promoting and all that. So that's beautiful to see. And now that we are able to go to these shows and everything, like you've come to learn that the wrestling community is actually one of the nicest. Like
Yes.
People are very friendly. People want to grow their circle because for a long time wrestling was taboo, and it was hard to talk about wrestling out in public without being scrutinized or whatever. Even before I got signed with AEW, I had people in my life who would tell me like, "Hey man, like when are you going to grow out of this? Like when's enough?
Never.
Like don't you think like you've already put yourself through enough or whatever?" And man, I was struggling. Like I was struggling financially and all that stuff, but I loved performing. I loved being around the industry. And right now I'm just blessed to be signed with AEW, but I'm also glad that Mel has grown to love the world that I love, and now she's a part of it too.
You're welcome.
Exactly. That was one of the first things I said to Mel when I met her, and finally in person, I was like, it's just so wonderful to hear women in the wrestling community, to hear their voices, hear them being a part of the community, because there's, they're far and few in between, but they're growing. And that's what I love to see, is I love to hear from and see more women in the community being a part of it, not just, in the background or just secretly saying, oh, I've watched a couple of matches here. Exactly. Just being proud of it and being a part of it and being supported.
Yeah.
The people around us being supportive of us being wrestling fans. It's really great to have that support, because then you continue to enjoy it and appreciate it and not feel ashamed.
There's something about meeting a new person and then you find out that they're like, they mentioned something wrestling related and you're like, yeah, you perk up.
Ears perk up and you're like,
and especially when it's a female.
Yep, exactly.
It's just
you're
so
like,
much more rare.
You like wrestling? I like wrestling. We're friends now.
Now, can you explain Over the Moonsault? Why the decision to go with that name?
Well, I wanted something. Well, obviously, I didn't want to use my middle name anymore. So I wanted something that captured my love of wrestling. That was something that was going to be kind of catchy. And the moonsault is definitely one of my favorite wrestling moves. I love the moonsault. Lita's moonsault is like my favorite. So I was like, okay. And the moon has always been a symbol that I've loved and appreciated. I was a big Sailor Moon fan growing up. So it just kind of naturally, I was like, okay, I'm over the moon about wrestling, over the moonsault. I was like, oh, it kind of fit. And it kind of went within. People were receptive to it. So now I'm here.
You know what I think is interesting? It just clicked. It just dawned on me that a front flip is known as a somersault. Mm-hmm. You think of the summer, you think of the sun. Then the moonsault is the backflip. So you think, okay, what's the opposite? I never thought of that before. Wow. I wonder if that was done on purpose. We gotta ask the wrestling gods.
I know. Yeah, and there's still some moves where I'm like, I don't know what that. I'll ask him. I was like, is that a star press? He's like, no, it's something else. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm still learning. Like I feel like I'm learning every day something new. And I'm not going to learn everything. I'm not going to know everything about wrestling right away. But it's fun to learn and to have those like first experiences, or like, oh, okay, now I know and understand.
Connections.
Exactly. You're like, oh, okay.
Like when I saw the moonsault being done, I was like, over the moonsault.
There we go. It's a little backflip. Exactly. Don't ask me to do one, but I do love them.
You're a moonsault enthusiast.
Exactly.
Did you make that little design, that drawing?
No, I actually had somebody within the wrestling community. I reached out to them and I was like, they were posting a lot of wrestling art. And I was like, hey, would you mind doing this logo? And I kind of like sketched a really ugly sketch of it, and they were able to make it really beautiful. I think they changed their username, so I think it's like Mango Art now. But she was the one that made my logo. And
shout out to Mango Art.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get the applause this time.
Yeah. Yay!
Like breaking stigmas, right? Like about wrestling fans. Mm-hmm. Some assumptions that people make.
Ooh, I mean, there's a lot of assumptions that they make about wrestling fans, that, that they're all critical. That's one thing I've personally tried to stay away from. Not that I want to be controversial or anything like that. I try to be as positive on my platform. I try to make sure that when I share my opinions, I'm being positive about it, because I know at the end of the day, I might not like a certain wrestler, but it's somebody else's favorite wrestler. So why talk about them in that way? So I've always tried to be really positive and not be that kind of critical, cynical kind of fan. But I know that that's a common stereotype that people see. Another one for women in particular is they think women only like wrestling because the guys. It's like, oh, because they're good looking. I was like, well, I mean, I appreciate wrestling in all forms and aspects, because I appreciate what they're doing, their athleticism, what they're doing in the ring, how they're, again, sacrificing their physical self to entertain others. Yes, some of them are cute to look at, but that's not why I'm a wrestling fan.
Not for the hotties.
Yeah, not for the hotties with the bodies,
And this one goes out. This story goes out to Brian Cage, the Machine, because my wife over here once said, and she didn't know I was listening. I was around. She didn't know I was in the same room. But I heard her say that she's shy about Brian Cage. And when I heard that, boy, was I storming in. Not that I'll like kick his ass or anything, but I just wanted to confirm. Did you say what I think you heard? And she wasn't shy? And she told me, she's like, I'm shy about him. But because he looks like an action figure.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like he can
that's
just.
why.
Well, he's not a man. He's a machine.
He looks like he's set out to destroy you.
He deserves his flowers. He looks like a He-Man figure, like he does.
Yeah,
I mean,
he looks like he could just like sneeze and break a shirt. You know what I mean? Like this.
Like you're gonna tell me he's just gonna walk by and you have no reaction?
Yeah.
Like no, you're gonna.
but you're gonna be shy about him?
My butt cheeks are probably clenched. I don't know. I'd have a physical reaction. I'm sure. Of it.
There it is.
There it is. Well, we've been doing that all day.
Let me hear yours. Let me hear yours.
No, mine is bad. I was like, I can't. I was like, I can't perfect it. I was like, you.
A ver, Raul, let me hear yours.
Hold on.
Let me get.
Uh-oh.
No, hold on.
See,
You gotta do the warm ups.
That was a tight clenched one. There you go. That's when
that
Brian
was Mel.
came.
That
Brian.
was me. That was an homage. To me.
She'll hear, I'm a machine.
Oh no.
You know, I got to wrestle Brian Cage once, and he's the first individual to lift me without me even making an attempt. Because he has this move where he hooks you almost like an abdominal stretch, and then he pump handles me up in the air, flips me, and then I freaking land. But it's like I just saw my world turn upside down. I knew he was going to do it, but nothing prepared me for the launch. And he just did it all by himself.
And you're gonna tell me that didn't make you shy.
Fine. That's the moment I was shy and I passed it
A
on.
little blush to the cheeks.
Maybe a little too shy, and se le pegó a mi wife.
I got it by osmosis.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. But no, like for somebody who really dedicates himself to the gym to look the way he does and then move the way he does, because there's guys who are his size who can't move the way he moves.
He moves so, yeah.
And the best thing about wrestling is that you have people of all shapes and sizes, of all walks of life. You have those who don't go to the gym at all and don't need to because they're the performers. They're the ones that, you know, people relate to the most. And then you have others who are like Brian Cage, who are physically fit. Then you have others who are small, like you got Darby Allin, who's a kick-ass wrestler who can probably beat anybody. But you see him at first glance, you don't think that.
Yeah.
Nosotros, because we've seen him wrestle and we see what kind of car crash matches he has, and he's going over to Mount Everest, and he doesn't know if he's coming back.
Gosh, I was like, that man is made of gum. I've seen him bend in ways I didn't think a human could bend.
By the time this makes air, like we'll know if he's back or not. I'm pretty sure he'll be back. I'm hoping for it. He's supposed to wrestle Jay White, so that's going to be killer.
You got a match. You need to come back.
Yeah, we need to see that match. Now, who would you say is your biggest mark out moment?
Ooh.
Have you met them, or was it like...
Mick Foley.
Oh, snap.
I love Mick Foley. I got to meet him on my birthday.
Wow.
In Illinois. My sister and I traveled. We did a girls' trip, and we went to go see his like show that he would put on, and then he did a meet and greet right after. And so I was just like, oh my god, like it's Mick Foley. Like I love Mick Foley. He seems like he's the sweetest man in wrestling, and he was just he sang happy birthday to me, and he was just so friendly. I was like in tears. He was amazing. I love him so much.
So you snuck in a wrestling show on a girls' trip.
Oh yeah. I was able to convince my sister. Yeah, because she wanted to go. She was like, "Let's travel somewhere," and I was like, well, I was like, "What if we go here?" And I was like, "There's this show on my birthday," and and so kudos to my sister because
that was your leverage.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "But it's my birthday." It was wonderful. That was a really cool celebration. That was probably one of my favorite birthdays of all time. Getting to meet Mick Foley.
Have you read any of his books?
Yes, I read the very first one that he released, which is Have a Nice Day? Yeah, that one's
really good.
Yeah, so good.
He's so detailed in everything he talks about. Like it's almost like he remembers every detail, and CTE didn't affect what's happened in the past. But
and he's just still so positive. Like again, and that's what I told him when I met him. I was like, "Thank you for just being that positive person within this wrestling community." Like he's just always so. You can't say anything bad about Mick Foley. Yeah. He's just always so positive about his interactions with people. And so, yeah, that's exactly what I told him. I was like, I just love him. Well, I was crying while I was saying it, but thank you for being so positive.
Yeah, Foley's one of the best, man. And, I was hoping that he'd be signed with AEW, but like he went, I think, No, that's Bret Hart. Bret Hart went to the first AEW pay-per-view. He presented the
right.
AEW title. He's one of the guys that I want to meet. What's your mark out moment, babe?
Ooh.
I can't think of any.
Yeah, I remember now. She marked out for Chris Jericho.
Well, I mean, that's Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
That's Chris Jericho.
That's true.
Yeah.
He came onto the elevator with us.
He's so nice. Every time we see him, like he's just like, "Hey guys, how are you?" And it's like direct eye contact. You know, it's just like you don't get that. Like when we were going to a show, one of the first times, we're walking in like through the back door. That's where the talent goes in through, and we walked over, obviously because we're poor. and then you just see Chris Jericho pull up in his black car, and he gets off and he's grabbing his bags, and we're just like, oh my god, like just act cool,
Yeah.
like unclench. Yeah, and he just like walks like up to us, like just like next to us, and just like, hey, how are you guys? And it's just, I don't know, it's just like, wow, why are you talking to me? Oh my god, can you see me? Yeah, and I got to tell him that I try not to wear my hair half up, even though I'm wearing it right now. Because Alvaro tells me I look like Chris Jericho.
Y2 Jericho.
Y2J.
Hey, man.
It's the Y2J look.
So I told him about it, and he's like, you look better in it than I do. And I was like, oh my God.
Chris Jericho just told me I look better.
And I was like, why I oughta?
You're already there.
I did the the Arthur fist.
Oh, yeah.
Any upcoming trips? Any upcoming bookings? Anything that you want to put over?
Yeah, I'm going to be at the Wrestling League's 5-year anniversary show. Was a Mama said knock you out, so I'm very excited about that one. I'm making some special stuff for my booth to be like Mother's Day appropriate. So if you have a mom that's a wrestling fan, she can come get some cute little gifts here at my booth. But yeah, I'm really excited just to be there. And shout out to Cassie for inviting me. She's so nice. Another woman in wrestling that has just been very supportive. So she invited me to come out, and I'm very excited to just be there and just be in the presence of other wrestling fans.
And that's going to be on May 11th,
Yes,
right? May
yes.
11th. Shout out to TWL, friends of the show.
One thing I wanted to ask you, since you talked about making friends, do you feel like you try to convert people to wrestling? Or is that something that you're just like, no, that's my thing?
I have tried to convert one of my coworkers one time because she was trying to figure out like dating scene. I was like, just become a wrestling fan. I was like, there's guys there on all the shows.
That's true. Every show there's a bunch of guys.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of guys. I was like, you'll find somebody. I was like, I was trying to get her to come to a wrestling show with me. I was like, just come. I was like, I promise you. It's a sea of guys, sea of men.
So many nice ones.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've been very blessed in that the wrestling community I've surrounded myself with and continue to meet have just been so positive and so supportive. I know that the wrestling community can be negative sometimes, and you do find those bad eggs in there with any fandom. Mm-hmm. But I've just been very, very fortunate in the people that I've met and interacted with that have just been so wonderful. Like I can't imagine my life without some of them, and I would have never met them had it not been for wrestling.
Wrestling was my avenue to turn to whenever I was having a rough time. And that's when I created the T-shirt, "The Pro Wrestling Saves Lives," was based off of like my experiences, and I've heard so many stories from other people how they would gravitate towards wrestling when times were tough. Now, if not wrestling, what is something that you turn to when times are tough? Like, what is it that you do to get out of that funk?
Yeah, and I mean that's what's so crazy is you say that like it's become my constant. Like I can't imagine life without wrestling now. Prior to it, I think it was probably running. I used to run a lot, and then my knees said no ma'am, no more. So that used to be my avenue, was exercise and running. But obviously, as you get older, your priorities change. Things change physically. So I really appreciate wrestling because it's something that continues to evolve and grow, and it's not anything that's going to physically impact me. You know what I mean? Like I just constantly find something positive to get out of it. So, but before, running. Don't ask me to run any miles. That was hard.
Would you run like long distance, or was it sprints? Or?
Well, I used to do a lot of 5Ks, 10Ks, and half marathons, and my goal was to run 100 races before I turned 30. And I did do that.
Wow.
And now asked me how many 5Ks and 10Ks I've done since then, Like I have not. Like once I reach that goal, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm never running ever again. So that is something I did right during the pandemic. I think I did a couple of virtual races during the pandemic to kind of finish off that.
What's a
that
virtual
goal.
race?
It's where you register and it's so sad when you say it out loud, and they send you the bib and then they send you the medal. And so you just like time yourself and then you're like, yay. Yeah, honor system. So I was so close to my goal, and then the pandemic hit. And so I was like, well, I got to fit in like four more races. So
Wow.
I signed up for some virtual races, and God, looking back at it, I was like, okay, thank God I found wrestling, because I was paying to run. Oh my goodness.
Speaking, we were talking about Brian Cage earlier. I remember asking him like what he did for cardio, like what he did to burn fat and all that stuff, because he's a big guy, but he's got abs. And he told me all he does is the Stairmaster. And I'm sure he hasn't changed that very much. Like all he does is a Stairmaster and lift weights. And eat clean. I mean, I don't know what that's like.
I think
relate.
that's the kicker. It's like, wait, I can't eat a burger.
Have you do you know who Chris Masters is? Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, he was at the very first WrestleFest.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to meet him then.
So one time Chris Masters was booked in either San Antonio or New Braunfels, and we stopped at a Buc-ee's. And Chris Masters is known for having this great physique, very similar to Brian Cage. Mm-hmm. And we were at the Buc-ee's, and I was looking for him because it was time to pay. And I was like, where is he? And I see him by where they have all the condiments, and he's stuffing like 3 brisket sandwiches in his face. And he's like eating them all, and then tosses the foil, and then grabs 2 and comes and pays for those 2. And then in the car, he eats those 2. And I'm thinking, like, how the hell does he look the way he does? He just ate 5 brisket sandwiches from Buc-ee's, and those are packed. So, like, man, more power to you if you can get away with that.
Jeez, I know.
Could never be me.
It's the same. I mean, I could, but then you would see those 5 brisket sandwiches for the rest of the year, Oh, jeez. Now I want a brisket sandwich.
Dang.
That you said that.
My uncle has a brisket sandwich, a barbecue. He has a barbecue joint in Rio Grande City called Star Barbecue, and he catered for the wrestlers at our first event at Cinemania. And I'm going to ask him to see if he could do it again for the second event, which is going to be on May 5th, Cinco de Madre. Woo! We're very excited for that. Do you have any questions, my love?
No.
That's it. Yeah, I think we ran through them, and I think
it was very smooth.
Right? Mm-hmm. No hiccups. We used to do these at my house, at our house, and we had this bad habit of being so casual, being so like, we're in our home, whatever. You would hear the paper on the mics, you would hear the drinks and all that.
Though.
And then I'd be like, I'll be right back. Does anybody need a drink? And we were just really like...
You hear the toilet flushing in the background.
But honestly, I loved that. I've listened to all of your episodes. I love y'all's show, and I loved the coziness of that. You know what I mean? Like it felt like you were just sitting in on a conversation. And I think that's why I appreciate you all so much, because as somebody who likes to learn about wrestling, being new to it, your podcast has just been so helpful in learning the local history. Yeah. Because, I feel like I started outward. I started with, the older stuff, WWE and AEW, and now I'm into the local wrestling scene. And it's been so great being able to match faces with the stories that you're able to have them share. And it's been really helpful. It's very historic. It's like archival. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I'm digging into the history and learning.
And that's basically where it all started from. Was before the podcast, we would get together almost every weekend, because I used to be working only Wednesdays, doing Dynamites and all that. So I'd be home during the weekends, and I would invite my friends over. And not only would we hang out, but we'd be drinking, we'd be, having a great time, reminiscing. And Mel came up with the idea that we should try doing the podcast with these guys. And there's still plenty of dudes that I need to get on the show, because there's still plenty of history that we haven't touched on. But I'm really glad that we were able to start this, to have people like you guys learn about the local history, that at least a part that I was a part of. And then we fast forward to February 3rd. For the first weekend of February, when AEW came into town, and you had someone local like JC Valentine and James Blackheart and Cyrus and Briante working a Ring of Honor show. The podcast really helped because I was able to tap into where their minds are. Like, this is something that they want. Can I help them get there? That sort of thing. And to be able to come down to the Valley and perform at one of the arenas in your hometown, like, to them, I'm sure was great. That was a full circle moment for me. And I'm glad that you guys were part of that too, because learning about the history in the Valley and then getting to see these guys who were part of that history, I think it's something very special.
Yeah, again, it's showing appreciation for the local community and being able to see them, to see them on that bigger platform, and for you to have a hand in helping them grow and helping the area grow. It was really cool to see. I was just like, oh my gosh, like when I was like, I know them. That's so cool. So yeah, exactly. It's just been really great to start really digging into the local wrestling community and being able to support them, because we want to continue to grow this community, and have it be more recognized on a larger scale. So it's really great.
No, pues thank you for being on. Let's go ahead and end it with a toast. With a toast.
With coffee.
With coffee, this toast
it's
is
not a White Claw, but it'll work.
Well, I mean, if they want to sponsor us, I mean, if they're out there listening, White Claw, we're down. Why not? I won't drink it, but I mean. But yeah, if there's anybody you want to give a shout out to, anything at all.
Yeah, I shout out to the people in this wrestling community that continue to provide a positive environment. I've said it multiple times today, it can be very negative, but those people that are in this wrestling community that continue to just be open and just very supportive of new people coming in and being able to just learn from each other and share with each other why they love this amazing, incredible art form. I'm just so grateful for those people, because that's what's going to continue to have wrestling not be a taboo and not be something negative. It's always a positive, and those people who are positive within the community is what's going to continue to grow this wrestling fandom.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheers.
I'll drink to that.
Salud.
Salud, amigos.
Woo.
Drink up.
Ooh, I do have something. Can you grab it from my bag?
Ora.
So you mentioned the AEW Collision show. And I know you talked about how you were the one who single-handedly got Tony Khan to shout out our giant anthem. So I was trying to come up with new stuff for my wrestling booth, and you were the inspiration for this new little sticker.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's
this is awesome.
It's our little anthem, and it's a little TK.
For you listeners who cannot see what our eyes are seeing, it's a little Tony Khan. He looks. What is this art called?
It's like a little chibi anime.
Chibi, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I was thinking Jibby, but it's a chibi. It's a chibi TK with a microphone that says TK. He's got a sparkle in his eye as he yells out, "Puro 956."
Puro 956.
This is amazing. This is going to go on my laptop. And I'm going to take it into our production meeting to see if he can see it. I'm definitely going to show it to him.
Don't worry, I have an extra one if you want
to. There you go. Yes.
TK.
So I'll take it to him, and I'll be like, hey, TK, remember that time? Yep.
It was just my favorite moment of the whole show. I was like, he was just rallying everybody, and it was just, again, just exciting to see the support in our local area. And
that's something that he does at every show. So I knew he was going to come out. When I found out we were going to Edinburgh, I thought, oh my God, what an opportunity. I see him at work all the time. He sees me in the production meetings, but we don't really have conversations. This time I approached him and I was like, hey, TK, we're going down to Edinburgh. That's my hometown in a few weeks. There's this battle cry and it's Puro 956. And he's like, Puro 9. I was like, yeah, Puro 956. Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of like our let's effing go.
Yep.
And he's like, is it really? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, just remind me. Then after that, for the next 2 weeks, I didn't see him at all. Oh, so then we get to Edinburgh and I'm like, I have to make it to the production meeting. But sometimes they pull me out so I can go do Ring of Honor, which we do Ring of Honors before Collision. I was like, I really hope they don't pull me out. During the meeting, Kevin Kelly's the one that told me, he's like, you got to tell him now. And I was like, no, I'm shy. So then Kevin goes, what's that, Alvaro? You're too shy to talk to TK about saying Puro 956? And TK turns around. He's like, oh, yeah, is that today? I was like, that's today. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll say it. I was like, all right, I really hope he does. So then I leave, I go do Ring of Honor, and out he comes. And man, the place just erupted.
Exactly. It was like
huge pop.
I was like, oh my God.
people talk about the Road Warrior pop. No, you need to hear that Puro 956 pop over in the
The
RGV.
smile on his little face after he
Yeah.
finished it, he was like
was
so
so
proud.
proud of himself.
Exactly, and he did it again at the end. I was like, oh, it was the best. It was perfect.
I really hope that plants the seed for us coming back,
Yes.
because before then, like, it had been 20 years since there was any wrestling televised out here. Funny part is, I found out that Bert, the owner of Cine El Rey, worked the last time that somebody came down to do televised wrestling was WCW at SPI. And Bert said that he worked the audio system that day. They hired local contractors,
That's
and Bert said that he worked it. Funny part, he said, was that there wasn't that many people in the audience. That's during WCW's dying years. He's like, there wasn't that many people in the audience, but through the speakers, you could hear they would plug in audio, like the fan noise.
Aww.
So he's like, so I was like, where's all this sound coming from? He was telling me, and I had no clue. I just found out last month that he worked that.
Wow.
So I thought that was just amazing. And sure enough, like we did our show the day after there at Cine El Rey, and he was pretty happy with it. So he came up with the idea of Cinco Desmadre being a doubleheader, 2 shows in one day. So that's the challenge. That's the next
So
challenge for us.
exciting.
We're shooting for the moon.
I mean,
For the moon salt.
you're already getting there, man. You're already there.
No, pero thank you, Kaycee, for being on the show. Thank you, Raul, for being a great side player on this. And thank you, babe. You did great today.
Thanks.
All right, guys. So nos vemos próximamente here on Lucha por Lucha. I did that one on purpose.
Oh.